picture this, okay? You are a doctor who's on a 7-day well-deserved vacation at this beautiful resort in Bali or Maldives. You're chilling by the poolside and you're sipping your cool mojito, and that's when you receive this phone call, okay? It's the nurse from the hospital ward. She goes, "Doctor, the patient is complaining of immense pain. Should I give a paracetamol injection or a tramadol injection?" You let out a deep sigh and you say, "Okay, immense pain, right? Do one thing. You give a tramadol injection, that should be fine." And you keep the call. I'm pretty sure almost all of you in the healthcare sector has received this one, if not many, duty calls during your vacation. Am I right? So, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Hiba Abdul Raoof. I'm currently working as an ophthalmologist right here at KMCT Medical College. Okay, so you see, as doctors, we are constantly telling our patients, you should reduce your stress, you should eat on time, and you should sleep for 8 hours. While we ourselves go to the hospital canteen at 2 a.m. at midnight and eat that cold egg puffs and strong black coffee, right? We're very good at advices. See, that's the reality behind medicine. So there's this constant tug of war between trying to save others' lives and trying not to forget to live your own life. And that is what I'm here to talk about, something called as the work-life balance. Okay, so when I received this topic on work-life balance, I thought to myself, am I the right person to talk about this? I mean, don't get me wrong. Do I have a work life? Yes, I'm working as an ophthalmologist. Do I have a life? Yeah, I am a mom to a 4-year-old son. Do I have a work-life balance though? That's questionable. So I asked some of my friends and family what are their opinions on work-life balance. And one of my friends, she interestingly told me, "Hiba, you know what is work-life balance? Imagine you're having a crazy and a toxic workplace. You should ensure that your family life is also crazy and toxic. Work-life balance." Okay? So jokes apart, I did some research on this topic and I'd like to share two cents of my own. So I try to concise my talk under 3 M's. Firstly, I'll be addressing the myth. And secondly, I'll be addressing the mess that we are living in. And thirdly, I would like to give you guys a medicine. So firstly, I'll talk about the myth, okay? So right now I have a confession to make. Like I mentioned, I'm a mom to a 4-year-old son, right? So his kindergarten starts from 8 a.m. and it goes till 12 p.m. My shift starts from 9 a.m. and it goes till 4 p.m. So initially I was adamant with the fact that I will be the one who's dropping him off at school. I'll be the one who's picking him up from school. It went smooth, 2 weeks, okay? But the third week, what happened was, I got busy in the OPD with some patients. And I actually forgot him there at 12 p.m. My son was sitting there, okay? So my friends, that was my initiative to this great myth of work-life balance. You will think that you can give 100% to your patients, 100% to your family, 100% to your career, but the math itself is not mathing, right? Because the last time I checked, you can only get how many 100%? 100%. So here's the problem. This term work-life balance seems like you're on a seesaw, effortlessly poised between two sides, work and life equally weighted. But in reality, you know how it is? It's like carrying two uneven luggages. And someone is sneaking bricks into each bag at the same time, right? And even research agrees with me. There was a survey by the Deloitte company at 2022, and they found that around 77% of professionals who are at their current job position, they are experiencing burnout. There was another article by the Cleveland Clinic Foundation, Ohio, and they found that only 36% of surgeons actually felt like their work is letting them have some personal and family life. And interestingly, only 51% of these surgeons would recommend careers as physicians and surgeons to even their own children. And neuromedicine says that multitasking between work and life actually reduces your efficiency. So to all those people who keep saying, "Yeah, multitaskra," I have bad news for you. Your efficiency actually drops by 40%. So if balance is scientifically improbable, why are we chasing it? So see, for me, as a doctor and as a human being, balance means to fully honor your professional commitments without chronically sacrificing your personal well being. And for me, actually, what I'd like to say is I would like to change the term of balance and substitute it with rhythm. What our lives actually need is rhythm. Because there will be weeks where work demands everything, and there will be weeks where your family comes first. So the myth is there and it's getting us stuck. And let's see what happens when you try to live by this work life balance. Spoiler alert, it gets messy. Okay? So, this is my second story. I was pregnant during this pandemic, and I was also preparing for one of the most competitive exams of India, that is NEET PG entrance examinations. And I used to study continuously for 12 to 14 hours a day with little to no breaks towards the date of my exam. So, what happened was I went for my ultrasound scan, and the doctor said that my baby is actually having intrauterine growth retardation. I was shocked. And I asked, what would be the reason? So, after excluding all possible diagnoses, it was actually found out to be that it was a maternal stress induced intrauterine growth retardation. You see, that's the danger of glorifying balance. It actually exhausts you, it will kill you. The Japanese even have a term for dying from overwork. It is karoshi. So, the balance myth is there, the mess is keeping on piling up. So, what can I give you guys? As a doctor, I can give you something which is a medicine. And thankfully, this medicine is hidden in that word which I mentioned earlier, which is rhythm. So, let's get into it. What does R stand for? R actually stands for recovery rituals. Schedule your rest like how you're scheduling your surgeries. WHO says that if you're working continuously for 55 plus hours a week, the risk of stroke actually increases by 35%. So here, rest is not just an option, rest is actually prevention. So take some time to be with just by yourself. Mute out everything else. It can be you jamming loudly to some music in the car, or just quiet reading of your favorite book, or just, lying on the bed quietly for 10 minutes with your eyes closed. Schedule your recovery rituals. Next comes H. What does H stand for? Healthy boundaries. Remember how you protect your sterile field in the operating theater? That is how you should establish your clear-cut boundaries. Make boundaries among your colleagues, your juniors, and even your seniors. You should establish timings where you will be available and when you will not be available too. Most of the smartphones today are equipped with these customizable modes, as most of you must be aware. You can have these modes to help you guys. So, if you have a work mode, you can enable it at work, which will block out all contacts from your family and friends and allow only your closest family, like your parents or kids, to connect with you. And when you reach home, you can enable your home mode, where all calls from your work is being cancelled out and only your boss or your close colleague can contact you. So, establish healthy boundaries. Next is why. Why stands for your presence matters. See, it's never about the number of hours that you have. It's about how you're using those hours. I'm pretty sure none of our kids bother whether you're physically present at home at 5 p.m., but what you're actually doing is endless doom scrolling on your Instagram. What they would care is some 20 minutes of playtime that you had with them. May it be a fun football session or like quite, painting on the canvas, anything. So, those 20 minutes of undivided attention matters more. Focus more on the quality, not on the quantity. Next comes T. T stands for actually tiny joys. Find joy in the little things in life. Okay? So usually we think balance means you are working 1 month continuously at work, working so hard, and then you take a 2 week long break, 2 week long vacation to Maldives. Okay? And then you come back, you're returning back into the grind. Instead of injecting us with such a mega dose of dopamine, why don't we inject tiny doses of dopamine every single day? So find tiny pockets of joy every day. Now there is something silly that I do usually after work. I need zero judgment here, okay? So I have this 10-minute commute from work to home. So what I do is I have this random playlist, okay? It changes every day. There are some songs in it. And what I do is I just play these songs in random order. And I act as if I'm in that music video, okay? Complete with the expressions, singing, dancing, everything. It's my 10 minutes of pure joy, my own. So 1 minute I'd be like, Pista, Sumakira Sumari Jamakiraya, okay? Next minute I'll be like, Acha chalta hu, duaon mein yaad rakhna. So it's something very silly, but those 10 minutes of joy, I actually look forward to it. So find your own pocket of tiny joys. Next comes H again. What is it? Harmony, not perfection. So when I was reading about this topic, I came across this famous rule called the 888 rule. So basically what they're doing is you're dividing a day of 24 hours into 3 equal segments of 8 hours each. That is 8 hours of work, 8 hours of family time, and 8 hours of sleep. Quick show of hands. How many medicos here have slept for 8 hours yesterday? I can tell I slept for 2 hours. I do not recommend it to anyone. As a doctor, you have to sleep for 8 hours. There's no change in that. So for some days, you can follow the 8-8 rule. But for other days, it might be at 9-10-5, or it can be a 6-12-6. So think of it as an orchestra. You have the violin and you have the drums. The violins don't play as loudly as the drums. But what emerges from them is what? Harmony. So like that, some weeks work will demand everything. Other weeks, your family takes a front seat guilt-free. So find harmony and not perfection. And lastly, M. M stands for meaningful connections. Did you guys know that the longest running study was done by Harvard University and it spanned 80 years? And what they wanted to find out was the greatest predictor of finding long-term health and happiness. And did you guys know what was the greatest predictor? It was actually relationships. People in the study who nurtured stronger ties were found to lead healthy and happier lives. So invest in that. Prioritize meals with your family. Call up an old friend. Build up your community. Because unlike work deadlines, these cannot be rescheduled later. So my medicine here is over. That is rhythm. Now I have some brownie points. One thing that I wanted to address is something called as the shame regarding delegation. You see, don't get me wrong here. All of us are capable of doing everything on our own. This recent pandemic and lockdown is a proof for that. But there will be some cases where things can get overwhelming, things can get too much. So at home, if you need any help, you should not feel any shame in asking for some house help. I have colleagues at work who are burnt out at home after long hours of work, but they simply can't appoint a delegation simply because of their shame regarding it. So if you are in dire need of help and you can afford it, then there is nothing wrong in asking for that extra helping hand. Now, we often hear that if you love what you do for work, you will never feel like you're working every day, right? And we see numerous influencers in Instagram and Facebook and all. They resign from their daily jobs, 9-to-5 jobs, and then they pursue their passion of content creation, traveling, and photography. It looks nice, right? So some of them will have that luck to do that. But for most of us, we won't have that luxury to just resign from our jobs and do that, right? But if your boring 9-to-5 job is creating the revenue for generating happiness for you and for your family, then there's nothing wrong in continuing that job, provided this job shouldn't cost you your mental peace, sanity, or anything else. And finally, I'd like to give you guys one reminder. Redeem or reclaim your identity. What are you other than what you're working as? Like, for example, I am an ophthalmologist today. What if I get fired today? I hope I don't get fired today. So what if I get fired today? What am I other than that? I'm a mom, a creator, entrepreneur. Always have an identity other than what you're working as. Because some days you'll be a doctor first. Some days you'll be a parent first. And some days you'll be unapologetically a human first. And that's not something like failing or anything. That's just called being alive. Finally, I'd like to conclude my talk by quoting this line from one of my favorite movies, Fight Club. I hope all of you have seen it, where the main protagonist says, Tyler Durden says, we have people who go to jobs that they hate to buy things that they don't need to impress people that they don't like. Let's rewrite that narrative too. Let's have people who go to jobs that they love to buy things that they need to impress nobody. Thank you so much for your patient listening. It's been wonderful being here. Have a wonderful day ahead.